Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Alith Anar, who has probably one of the most absurd campaigns in Total War Warhammer 3. He is an absurd legendary lord, even if he doesn't necessarily have the best campaign within the current meta, or rather his campaign doesn't fit within the meta of building a massive empire. It is still an excellent campaign, based on really everything that can happen in it. Is so absurd, though I would add the caveat with that in the sense that I would say that this campaign really needs to have it really needs to have a good start. But if you do get that good start, holy crap, is it gonna are you going to steamroll in this campaign in a way that you may not necessarily expect from this campaign. Like I would say, like Alariel is generally better at building a massive empire. Alith Anar is better in terms of slaughtering everyone that stands in his path from the very beginning of the campaign, and that is not an exaggeration when I'm talking about it, really. In fact, it's very much part of his nature to do so. Like, look at this campaign. This is turn 17. Yes, turn 17. Crying out loud. And what I'm doing here is, like, I've got one entire stack over here that's already defeated 2 full stacks of Helibron and Be'lakor. Yeah, that's insanity. And there's a reason why you can do it. Truth be told, Helibron was and Be'lakor were in Force March stance, so like in a normal fight, maybe I wouldn't have won. When they're in Force March stance, yeah, they're let's just say they're meat on the menu, so to speak. Like, Alith Anar isn't your regular legendary lord. He is a hunter. He is brutal. He is vengeance. He is really Batman in a lot of ways. You know, we talk about Elfarion, but Alith Anar is just the other side of the coin with that. Elfarion is vengeance against the Greenskins. Alith Anar is vengeance against the Dark Elves. Funnily enough, Elfarion used to be the anti-Dark Elf character, but that role certainly got taken over. It certainly got taken over by Alith Anar, and it's like, look at them throwing themselves against me, thinking that it will help. It won't. Now, what makes this campaign so absurd? Well, while there are limitations in climate, and I'll get into those in just a second, you do have some incredibly powerful faction effects. You do get missions to eliminate characters for very strong campaign benefits. You get 10% campaign movement range. You get the Invocation of Morai High Heg, which summons a hero that can instant kill on other enemy lords and heroes, so like instant murder, assassin type character in this campaign, and you get the global recruitment duration of -1 turn. That is fairly significant. But those missions, oh man, those missions are something else. When you're looking at this campaign, I mean, this campaign is something else. Holy crap, is this campaign like something like you don't believe it until you play it. And that's, I guess, the best way I can possibly put this campaign dynamic in ways to make people understand it. You have to play it to believe it, because it is that absurd of a campaign dynamic that you may not believe it otherwise. And that's not a joke. Like what I'm doing here, with just what I'm pulling off here, the insanity of this particular campaign, slowly but surely, it's like, it's absolutely something else.
Welcome, fellow Asa.
What you may pull off in this particular campaign. Go to war against everyone, fight everyone, get peace trees with everyone. Okay, so beyond the faction effects, you also have these missions. So let's consider some of the mission benefits. Like over here, I eliminated Helibron. That gave me 20 diplomatic relations with High Elves, a lot of money, and a lot of influence. One of the limiting factors in a High Elf campaign is the lack of influence. Well, you sure as shit you're not going to feel that limitation in this particular campaign. Oh no, that is absolutely not going to happen. You get so much influence, you may not necessarily know what to deal with. So, like the missions that you started at the beginning of a campaign, they are certainly randomized. So, I would firmly recommend when you are beginning this particular campaign, that you may start it a couple of times until you get a really, really good set of missions that you can use. Also worth remembering that the Reaver patrols are required. You need to issue to have that commandment in order to get the invocation over here. But once you do, once you unleash that, and it is something to be unleashed, like this campaign becomes something else entirely that you might not necessarily expect. Like, I got Sigval to declare war on Hellebrand, and then I realized, wait, Hellebrand's just suicided all her armies against me. Let's go kill her. And then let's go kill Vacre as well, because, like, we're just those kind of people. And it's like, then since we have so much money, let's just recruit 4 fucking stacks and just build them up. And maybe we can even save Krace from the tender mercies of Nakari. Maybe. Or maybe we let Krace fall because it actually suits us very, very well during the course of this campaign. Yeah, this campaign is insane. Like, you can have a situation at the beginning of your campaign where you might have a lot of missions that just give you a ton of money and a ton of influence and faction effects. Like in this case, I've got fear when fighting Dark Elves. I've got a recruitment cost benefit with Shadow Warriors and Shadow Walkers. Shadow Walkers being unique units. And that's just like the missions and the faction benefits in general. We aren't done yet. Oh no, we're just getting started. If you think that's all he can do, he does have climate limitation. So you can only take Frozen in Wasteland in his campaign, which certainly is not great in terms of like the climate situation. By the way, you don't need to use the murder assassins as quickly as you get them. You can be patient with your prey, so to speak. As I might be over here. That's going to be a lot of money for the Shrine of Cain. And anyone want the Sword of Cain? Sword of Cain on Alith Anar. Yeah, that would be something else, wouldn't it? Absolutely so. Yeah. I mean, who's gonna complain about it, right? Who's gonna complain about it? Defender of the Phoenix Throne. And this campaign starts going completely out of control in a very fast way that you don't necessarily expect. He's not quite willing to declare war on Belagor, but he is willing to give me a ton of money.
Can I offer assistance?
So I can avoid the war with him for a while. Yeah, absurdity in this campaign is part of it. Is part of it. You just don't necessarily see coming. Okay, beyond the amusement of those missions, there's also his special skill line, and oh my, is the skill line something else. His faction, his Lord effects just reduced the upkeep by 50% for Shadow Walkers, and he also gets a 25% ambush success chance. That ambush success chance gets increased to 40% with the Spectre skill. He gets 15% campaign movement range after winning a battle. Step aside, Valkia, Autoresolve, and Scarbrand. Alith Anar is here, because he's like, you consider Autoresolve, Valkia, and Scarbrand, they've got powerful armies, but they're melee armies. Ranged armies of skirmisher infantry that uses poison attacks are coming, and they're going to be coming in very fast speed. And on top of that, he gets Shadow King with 4 control in all provinces, which is like, if you're playing a high elf campaign, one of the best things you might want to do in a campaign is just confederate Alith Anar, because his faction, because his Lord effects, his special skill line is that ridiculously powerful. Like this effect alone is probably one of the most powerful skills that the high elf Legendary Lord has. Oh, and he gets 12% missile strength for a paltry 8 diplomatic relations with high elves. Who cares about 8 diplomatic relations with high elves? Do you know how much diplomatic relations with high elves I have over here? Like, let me just give you a clue. I have, I'm looking at getting to 116 diplomatic relations with her. And then suddenly that's going to go to 156. In this particular campaign, we're looking at 126. We're going to go up and up and up and up and up. Diplomatic power is diplomatic power in this campaign, and high elves do excel at it. Alith Anar excels at it. It's not even funny how much diplomatic potential this guy does have in his particular campaign. As I said, it is not funny. Like, this guy goes way overboard. Maybe I should wait with this Sword of Cain. Although that post battle loot from although that post battle loot is certainly very, very juicy. you've got such a powerful army, you don't even necessarily want to invest the points over here. On what are we going to invest the points? You're always going to want to use a bunch of Shadow Walkers and Shadow Warriors in this particular army. What are we going to do with the points? Really, that is not that is certainly an important question to actually ask in this particular campaign. It's like, okay, you got a bunch of points. What are you going to do with them? Great question. Like, really good question. What are you going to do with those points? I don't know. Just sit on him, right? Maybe get the dragon benefits if I ever want to get a couple of dragons in Alith Anar's army. That would certainly make the day. Or maybe just the melee benefits, I guess, because, yeah, that can be useful sometimes. Between the missions, the campaign movement range, what else could they add to this campaign to make it more ridiculous? You've got ambush, you've got the stock stance. So the stock stance is whenever you attack an enemy army in the field, you have a chance to ambush it. This is something Skaven have, Beastmen have. It's like, seriously, Alith Anar is a better version of Autoresolve at this point in the game. Or maybe he was the inspiration for Autoresolve, I don't know. But he can, so he has the chance of ambushing any armies. With that 40%, with that 40% ambush success chance that he does have during the course of his campaign, this is this becomes ridiculous. I would probably have to take that fight when it's only 6 units and I don't have a lord, so it's like, yeah, I would win that.
How can I assist you?
This campaign, though, it goes in places you don't necessarily expect. You get a lot of powerful units, powerful faction effects very quickly. You get tons of money if you play your cards right, tons of armies if you play your cards right, and you become unstoppable. Climate limitations of Frozen and Wasteland aren't particularly great, so those are going to limit your campaign potential. Does it matter when you're pulling off this insanity? I would hazard a guess to say that no, it does not necessarily matter. When you've got so much influence, you don't know what to do with it. When you've got so many armies, you don't know what to do with them. Sure, you might have to maintain an army over here for defensive purposes. Like, you don't need more troops than this. This force that I have here is probably enough to defend against anything that Bellicor might do against me at this point. But then you go and say, okay, well, let's go kill Bellicor. Or maybe you don't go kill Bellicor. Maybe you just go play around with Astankia and Murphy.
Prince of
Cruel and deadly.
So many choices, so many possibilities in this campaign. And that's before you start counting for like how you can use intrigue at court. So it's a one-note campaign, certainly. But the one note it does have, and to be fair, it's not necessarily as one note as you might think. Wasteland might be a limiting factor, but this campaign can go places. Oh boy, can it go places. In ways that you might not necessarily expect. Actually, it's probably better to get a bunch of Shadow Walkers. So he's a good Ledgering Lord to Confederate. He's a really good campaign to play in the short term. And the fact that he's constantly getting these kind of missions in his campaign will absolutely benefit him in a very substantial way. In some ways that you might not necessarily expect. Maybe I'm not interested in dealing with Akari over here in this campaign. Maybe that's something I want to leave to Alariel because I want Krace to be wiped out. Maybe. Or maybe I take this territory and sell it to Krace and go deal with other stuff on the western side while Krace builds this territory up so I can confederate them later on in the campaign. Such possibilities. Such sweet, juicy possibilities. Also, you can limit the territory Alariel takes in this campaign so it's easier to confederate her. And you also potentially limit the territory Alfarian is taking in this campaign so it's easier to confederate him. And with the constant rewards that you're getting in terms of diplomatic relations, it's like Ulf-1 is gonna worship you.
a dignified visitor. Such a rare treat.
And that's not an exaggeration, by the way.
Most astute.
You may approach. I've heard tales of your valor. Let us sit and talk. A wise course.
And we look at the Confederation situation. It's getting there. It may take a while to get there, but it is getting there.
We begin.
Welcome. Time is precious, so please make your...
Maybe Alariel would be the better target there.
You stand before the mistress of the undying forest, serving the gods.
So yeah, plenty of confederation opportunities. While I would argue still very firmly that Alariel is the better long-term campaign, there's nothing inherently wrong with playing a campaign like this, which is just so focused on the early game domination that it's not even funny how powerful this campaign is. Like, it's like past the point of being ridiculous and just like being absurd. Ooh, Bellacore is coming. Whatever should I do about him? Well, set up a freaking ambush, that's for damn certain.
Cloaked in shadow.
And pray that it is enough.
Carried
It
by
may
magic.
be, it may not be. But I did eliminate his main army, so if it was the main army that was experienced, like this is the, like, Bellacore is just such a joke to all his neighbors. I'm not even kidding around on this. Bellacore is a joke because he constantly just suicides his armies against his neighbors. He will do this even against other AI factions, and he will accomplish very damn little in his campaigns because of that. Alabron is dead. Yeah, this campaign, holy cow, this campaign does take you places.
Guardian of the Phoenix Crown.
In ways you may not necessarily expect. In ways you may not necessarily expect, I would say. And then just like, yeah, build a bunch of Shadow Warriors. The one you do have a lot of vulnerability, so if you lose too many units in your initial battles, you might end up in this kind of situation.
Traveling.
Or in this kind of dynamic where you might lose too many where you might lose too many units and you get Silostra declaring war on you very, very quickly. Yeah, if only that affected Shadow Warriors, that would be great. Sadly, it does not. Such possibilities, though. Such possibilities. You also start with a mage, so you don't even need to build the main structure. Well, you do, because you need the research to improve your archers, but still, it's like you're only building it for research. Yeah, Isles could really use an overhaul, I would argue, in certain very significant ways. 70% chance to ambush, that is pretty significant. And pretty ridiculous, I would argue, as well. Damn ridiculous.
Defender of the Everqueen.
Gladly.
This is not how a campaign should look like, let's say. Like, even by the standards of, like, hyper-aggressiveness, what I'm doing here is, like, absurd to the absurd level. It is granted a good RNG start, so that's one of the things that really makes this campaign. This campaign can be hard. Like, don't get me wrong, dealing with Bellacore, dealing with Halibron, dealing with dealing with Akari is not exactly the easiest thing in the world. Dealing with Silostra, which I certainly have done in this particular campaign, none of that is a complete and utter joke. Nothing here is like a cakewalk. It's just like, oh, you just press enter a button and win. You gotta know the campaign mechanics. You gotta know the campaigns that you're dealing with.
I am eternal.
And I guess someone took the bait over there. I would hope to beat her to it. Nah, that's not gonna happen. Oh well, that's a shame.
Attend.
That is certainly a shame.
Make way. My forces advance.
But instead of moping around it, let's just go deal with Autoresolve over here. And sell the territory to Grace.
Behold the majesty of the Phoenix Court. Now, your will is done.
Asur Princess.
I guess Bellacore may have taken the bait there. Hopefully so.
Starting out. Your
And we got the
decree.
dragon. Ah, Bellacore.
Asurian's decree. They will suffer the might
Yeah.
of Saturn.
Warhounds. Trolls might have been a bit dangerous, but still.
Their lives for
This is normal. No joke, this is genuinely a normal affair in the campaign like this. I would like to get that fleet, in my hand on that fleet, but I don't have the force to deal with that. Yeah, the fleet is actually dangerous, Bellacore is not. Bellacore is free experience in this campaign. Or you can burn a lot of your territory to the ground if you're not careful. Always remember that aspect. It doesn't, just because I can do it, doesn't mean people necessarily will. So it's like, you gotta be careful about this kind of stuff. You can't just, like, YOLO the shit out of this game. I mean, you can, if you so desire.
Annoy me.
You absolutely can. Oh boy. Yeah, it's been a while since I played this campaign, and since then I've gotten much better at this game. Like, I always thought this was really a great campaign in terms of its design, but now I realize, wow, this campaign is phenomenal. Like, just the sheer number of possibilities you have over here from the very beginning of it is like an incredible feat. Tarek's may burn a region over here to the ground. It's not really gonna matter all that much. That dragon will allow me.
I lurk.
That particular dragon that I just got will allow me to, well, will allow me to take ground in a single turn because it has siege attacker. So, yeah, high elves being high elves. What can you say? This is certainly, though, an exception, because high elves are the kind of race that builds a massive empire around the world and does it effectively. Alith Anar still does that effectively, even despite the climate limitations, even if all of Wolf 1 is not suitable climate. Get the climate limitation mod, climate removal mod, or climate limitation removal mod, and oh boy, this campaign really takes off. That's all it kind of requires to make this campaign significantly better. I mean, I would certainly argue it's a better campaign than Tyrion. Don't get me wrong, Tyrion certainly has his significant benefits in his campaign situation. Undeniably so. Undeniably so. But, like, at the same time, there's just something absurd about this campaign that you can't replicate in other campaigns. And that's really what makes this one stand out, I feel.
Protector of Ulthuan.
Okay, why are we taking attrition damage? Maybe I just spent too much money. Maybe.
Burden of the Shadowlands.
We're gonna go pay a visit to our friends in Turanok.
At your service.
Ready?
Lady of Ulthuan.
Dragon.
Such possibilities.
Yet your people will suffer for your clumsy attempts at diplomacy.
You may approach.
Malekith. Might be running out of money. Too many armies. But that's a
Sigma's will.
temporary issue.
Very well.
Faction strength number 1. Plenty of money to keep me going, and I just need a major battle to really get the blood flowing, so to speak. Also, there's territory I can capture and sell to Sigvald. Yeah, sometimes that's all that's needed. Or I could send a murder assassin to do this mission right here instead of trying to recruit our units to do it.
Asur Princess.
That is also a possibility that I could use in this particular campaign.
Much of a diplomat. I accept.
God.
Or stop recruiting so many units. Yeah, sometimes you can go overboard, and this is the kind of campaign where you absolutely can
I bring Azurian's fire.
push a bit too hard. No shit, Sherlock. Yeah, no shit. This is absolutely one of those absurd, over-the-top, nonsensical campaigns in the game. And in a good way, too. To many Shadow Warriors, I think. That's the reason I'm going bankrupt. In a good way, too. Costin signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.